Welcome to Seattle, home of coffee, rain, tech, Amazon, and the 5 wonders of Seattle. These 5 wonders are things that, if Seattle didn't have, well, there wouldn't be Seattle. They are what makes Seattle, not just another city. In today's episode, we'll be focusing on the transit tunnel, one of the best, or at least most unique, transit hubs in the world. Something so unique, no other city has anything like it. Or, at least, until the buses are evicted in March 2019. The idea for an underground transitway, where the transit tunnel currently is, dates all the way back to 1911 with an old subway proposal that was part of a bigger plan for Seattle, but was rejected due to the fact that would likely shift the commercial center north. Other proposals were placed in 1920 by a city engineer, 1926 by the Seattle City Planning Commission, 1928 by the Seattle Traffic Research Commission, in the late 1950s, and in the 1960s. However, it wasn't until 1974 that the modern plan for the transit tunnel came to fruition, when the idea of a downtown bus tunnel popped up in discussions between Governor Dave Evans and Seattle Mayor Wes Ullman. The original idea was shot down by Metro after it was found it wouldn't be able to adequately meet the rush hour demand of downtown bus ridership by 1980. Another idea came to fruition, involving automated guideway transit to assist the buses, but it too was shot down. This was due to the high cost of ventilating the tunnel for diesel buses. However, in 1983, Metro was able to get the push they needed, as they were deciding between a transit mall, an overground street in a major urban area that only transit can run on, or a bus tunnel like the transit tunnel we have today. The Urban Mass Transportation Administration was rushing Metro, and they chose to use the tunnel. While Mayor Charles Royer was supporting the transit bill, he knew that the tunnel would be the long-term solution to downtown traffic, and ultimately, the transit tunnel was approved. On October 17, 1983, the City Council approved an electric-only transit tunnel. Metro decided to use dual-mode electric buses, which would run on electricity in the tunnel and diesel on the streets. In February 1984, Metro announced that they would use 200 dual-mode buses for the tunnel, with the intention of switching to subway trains later. The cost was placed at $387,1984 or $912,2018. In 1986, construction began as 3rd Avenue was temporarily closed for utility relocation, and on March 6, 1987, the Mighty Mole boring machine began digging the tunnels. There were a couple accidents, including one on October 21st, 1987, when a small earth flow lowered the roadway of 3rd Avenue by 20 centimeters, shut down water, and then caused workers to accidentally cause a power outage for a night. And again, in January 1988, construction had to stop after wet sand was encountered, causing 3rd Avenue to be shut down to remove the water. By May 1988, Metro announced that the tunnel would be open for service by September 1990. Mayor Norm Rice tried to get the tunnel open early for the 1990 Goodwill Games in July, but the idea was rejected by Metro, who wanted to test the safety systems. In late 1988, a scandal emerged over granite used in the tunnel. At the time, South Africa was under apartheid rule, so Metro was boycotting South African goods. It was discovered in late 1988 by a member of the Black Contractors Coalition that Verde Fontaine, the granite being used in the Westlake and Pioneer Square stations, was quarried in South Africa. This led to Metro Director Alan Gibbs resigning and the granite being returned, slightly delaying construction and costing $500,000. On March 15, 1989, testing in the tunnel began, and on June 7, 1990, construction was completed. The final cost rose 56% over budget to a total of $468.7 million $1990. Or $878,2017. On September 15, 1990, the tunnel was opened. 5 routes ran in the tunnel: the 71, the 72, the 73, the 106, and the 107. None of these routes stayed in the tunnel until the end of service. On its opening, it was open Monday through Friday from 5 a.m. to 7 p.m., and on Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. It was closed on Sundays and holidays. When the tunnel was closed, buses ran on 3rd Avenue. The Seattle Times called the tunnel a qualified success, commenting that the tunnel was like a mini subway system. There were rails in the tunnel, but they were not electrically insulated, and trains never ran on them. You can still see some of these old rails if you look out over the former Convention Place station, or look in the bus holding bay as you enter or leave International District Chinatown Station from the south. In 1990, Sound Transit was founded, and in 1996, voters approved Sound Transit to create a light rail line from SeaTac Airport to the University District, using the stations in the tunnel. But in 1998, Sound Transit found out that the tracks lacked proper electrical installation and would have to be replaced at the cost of $110 million, closed the tunnel for 2 years, and the old Breda fleet would have to be replaced with hybrid electric buses due to the electrical systems of the Bredas and the light rail being incompatible. The cost savings on not correctly electrically insulating the original track were $1.5 million. So the lesson here is that you don't want to be cheap when building a major transit system. Convention Place Station couldn't be used by light rail trains due to it being too shallow for pass under I-5, so it would later be abandoned. On September 21st, 2005, the tunnel was temporarily closed, with the Breda fleet permanently expelled. The tracks and overhead wires were replaced, and the roadway was lowered by 20 centimeters to allow for level boarding on the trains. This caused the bus mirrors to be lowered to the head level, so Metro added strobe lights to their buses' mirrors and added warning signs in the tunnel. New electrical, mechanical, and emergency systems were installed, along with a new communications system connecting to a joint operations center. The final cost was $94 million. On September 24th, 2007, the tunnel reopened, initially only on weekdays, but eventually Saturday service was restored, and Sunday service was introduced in May 2009. On July 18, 2009, the light rail began service, making the transit tunnel the only tunnel in the world where buses and light rail share the road and shared platforms. As of the publishing of this video, the tunnel is hitting its next major milestone. On July 21st, 2018, Convention Place Station closed, with buses taking a temporary ramp into the tunnel from some bus stops on 9th Avenue. On March 23rd, 2019, all the buses will be evicted from the tunnel. This will allow for faster light rail service and no more being held out of stations by buses. However, above-ground traffic will suffer for months, as 570 buses a day will be sent to the surface streets in downtown, and the city is scrambling to prepare the streets for the new traffic. To speed up buses, Orchid card readers will be installed on the downtown streets, allowing off-board fare payment for all of Metro's buses, stopping a clock at the front door, and allowing riders to enter through any door on the bus, speeding up load-unload times at downtown stops. The transit tunnel was, and still is, a great symbol of Seattle. You could find art at every stop. However, it will soon lose its unique distinction as the only transit tunnel in the world where buses and trains share the platform. And perhaps it's better that way. The tunnel signifies Seattle's huge love of transit. In fact, Seattle leads the U.S. in transit ridership. Between Sound Transit and Metro, they have managed to provide a whopping total of 191.4 million trips in 2017, with that number almost certain to grow by the end of 2018. I intend to be a long-time transit rider, even when I get a car, as it's a great way to commute, and I have used it several times before, including to get to this summer program where I made this video. Seattle loves its transit, and ridership is only going to continue to go up from here. Even once the buses are evicted from the tunnel, the transit tunnel will stand as a monument to Seattle transit, showing off Seattle's love of and reliance on public transit. The downtown Seattle Transit Tunnel is well deserving of the title of being one of the 5 wonders of Seattle. Thanks for watching, and check back next time to see the next of the 5 wonders of Seattle.